everyone, welcome to another Classic Movie Monday, and today I thought it would be interesting to briefly address something that is a little bit more, I guess you could say, whimsical and kind of sort of reflects the mood, I guess, around this time of year, or what usually people feel, I guess, around this time of year. That deals with the happies and the fuzzies inside. And as you can see by the title, that is the musical film, The Sound of Music. Now, the interesting thing about The Sound of Music is that it's probably one of the most well-known film musicals, probably next to Mary Poppins. It is widely popular, widely recognized. It's considered to be the one of these starring roles for Julie Andrews, and it's really the film that people associate with her with, and people automatically remember the songs and the scenes and the sort of atmosphere that the film gave, and I can see why that this film is heavily praised and recognized, I think, as a classic. Now, there's a lot of good things that I think can be said about this film, that just goes beyond the music. It goes along with the characters and the story, and the acting, and the overall presentation, I think, represents the story well. So those are all big factors as to why I think The Sound of Music holds up as a classic musical, similar to how Singing in the Rain sort of holds up as to a classic musical film. Now, I can understand that some people would say that this film can be a little bit overhyped for what it is, especially since there's been tons of different renditions, and maybe sometimes the songs can be a little bit overplayed. Heck, even My Favorite Things is a song that they play around Christmas time for some reason, and I think it has to do with the fact that the song's associating itself with things, and so people think, ooh, things, that has to deal with Christmas. And I almost want to say, no, that's not what it has to deal with, but people like to play that song anyway. But I think it holds up as a good, fun, whimsical, good time. Now, I understand too that there has to be sort of a mood to kind of enjoy this piece, because again, there is a lot of cheeriness, there's a lot of happiness. However, I don't feel the happiness is really forced. It does feel like genuine happiness, and there are some serious moments too. Again, it's not all what they kind of showcase in the previews, where all the kids are smiling all the time, There are some more quiet and soothing moments that are not as completely energized or in your face. It's, I think, a well-balanced musical. I just think that there's more scenes that people emphasize than others, and I think that's why it kind of distorts the film and gives the viewpoint that it is a very cheesy, uninspiring musical, when really there's a lot of things to, I think, admire about it. So I think that's just something that people sort of forget, and I can understand why people would get kind of, uh, you know, uh, um, not into the hype that surrounds the film. And again, I think that there is still a lot with the characters. They have sort of distinct personalities that you can distinguish and sort of identify with even. There's, again, the songs are memorable. It's just one of those musicals that has sort of stood the test of time. Can it be overplayed at certain points? Yes, I think that's definitely understandable. But I think personally, overall, I think it stands out as being one of the more enjoyable musicals, not just for its songs, which I do heavily enjoy actually. I actually mentioned this musical briefly when I was discussing sort of my favorite musicals just based on the songs. But it has a lot more to offer than the songs, and I think that's what people sort of miss, and they automatically go to the songs, and then they think, oh, the songs are what make this musical a good musical, and I think there's just a lot more to it. It has an interesting story, um, a sort of fun atmosphere by having it take place in Austria. Um, it just has different elements within there that I think ultimately make the story work. Are certain characters maybe not as developed as others? That can definitely be said to as well with some of the children. They don't. Some of them have a little bit more character than others. But I think despite that, it still holds up for sort of what it was presenting during the time period, and kind of what and kind of what we would um, expect sort of from a musical, at least nowadays, that's trying to be more of a little bit on the cheesier end. So I think I should get out of the way though the story in case nobody has seen The Sound of Music. Um, the story is about Maria who works in basically a nunnery, and she is called to sort of be a babysitter for, I guess you could call her really a babysitter, a nanny for the Von Trapp children. And this actually was based off of a true story, actually. Again, there's probably a lot of differences between the actual account compared to the account that the musical presents, but the story is relatively the same. She meets up with these kids and she develops a bond with them, and that's sort of how the story takes itself from there, and sort of the complications that arise from gaining such a bond. And she eventually gains again a bond with the father, the Sir Von Trapp, who's supposed to be the basically the head of the household and the honcho and all that. So yes, or excuse me, I think her last name is just well, no, I think yeah, it's the Von Trapp family. Okay, I got confused because I forget every time that once she changes her name to Von Trapp, she becomes part of the Von Trapp family. So yeah, but yeah, basically that's really the plot in a nutshell. It's not really all that complex. It's not like taking you on this grand epic journey, but at the same time, it addresses some elements within it that I think work for this kind of a musical. And it sort of addresses things, I think, in a way that's identifiable, um, and again, it doesn't. It knew what it was presenting itself as, and it stuck to that. And I think when a movie knows what it is, that's when um, you really do see the film shine. And I think definitely that is shown it within this film. And are there problems with, again, just the kinds of moods that it presents to the audience, like it being a little bit too cheesy at times, a little bit too um it's a small world, like just too shiny smiley. I can understand that. I can understand that it's really, really cutesy and that it has, little problems maybe here and there. Um, but I think the overall product works for what it is. if you enjoy these kinds of musicals, heck, if you even enjoy Disney musicals, this one is probably right up your alley because it has a lot of similar elements. Again, we have a focus on family, we have a focus on adventure and doing things together, and it's really that's at the heart of the story. So it definitely um, presents a musical in a way a musical is supposed to be represented with this kind of setup. Are there flaws and can it get a little bit too cheesy even for my taste? Absolutely. There are times where I am definitely not in a Sound of Music mood, but if you present the movie to me and I'm in the right mood, then I enjoy it immensely. So it's just one of those things, you have to. I think it's one of those. Again, I wouldn't say it's a divisive film, but I can understand why there's certain points where people wouldn't be interested in watching it. But I do understand why it is critically acclaimed and why there was so much praise for it. And I think it was warranted, but I think, again, it can be a little bit too shoved into your face, but I only think that's because we really showcase the songs and not so much of the story and the characters, which I think is also well done and should be, I think, more focused on. So yeah, I think that's really the 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 I think main criticism, at least from what I can tell. But I really do enjoy it. I don't enjoy it all the time, but I definitely enjoy it once in a while. So if you're interested and you want to feel the happy, then definitely watch this movie. You'll feel happy. You'll feel like a kid again. It brings back home that kind of nostalgia. It's a good film in that respect, for being a classic. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say about the film without giving too much away as to what really goes on within the plot. But really, that's the plot setup. Maria goes to help and babysit and teach these kids that are part of the Von Trapp family. And then she learns more about them, and things happen, and somehow she somehow gets more attached to them, and she learns more about the father, and so on and so forth. So I think that's really, though, ultimately all I can say. But again, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.